Okay, so this video is going to be about how to create a data table and a graph for your how fluffy are the pancakes, or what makes pancakes fluffy lab. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is have in, uh, you know, what you're going to do here. So let's give a title for our graph or our table, and I'm highlighting several columns because I want to make the nice title. And the way you can do this is to go into Format, and you go to Merge Cells, and that will merge this group so that whatever I write in here will have plenty of room and not go into the other cells, right? So here's my title. Let's see. How does mixing affect the fluffiness of pancakes? Okay. And I can go over here. This is my alignment. I can center the alignment, and now my title is centered. Okay. And now I want to start to give my column headings. And so I might have extra ones here because I'm just kind of doing this on the fly. So you'll adjust yours, but I'm going to put a date. I'm going to put my group 1, which is mixed until just combined. Okay. And I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to put my next group, mixed until smooth. And I'm going to then hit enter. I go to my next group of pancakes, which is mixed until smooth. And I'm going to choose a variable here. I'm going to choose plus 5 minutes. I know the directions tell you can do 3 minutes to 5 minutes, but you have to make a choice. Now, you can see that these names are kind of running into each other. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the columns larger so that the words can all appear, because I don't really need that much for this data table. I think this will be good. Okay. All right, I can always change that later on, but at least that gets me started. And as I look at these headings, I know that I'm going to want them underlined, so I'm going to highlight them all together, and I'm going to bold them. And I don't know where the underline went. Anyway, that is in there somewhere. Oh, I know where it is. Okay, so you go to the borders, and I can choose the bottom border there. Matter of fact, I'm going to choose the lines between. Now I've got lines, and what I'm actually going to choose the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to actually make this all the way down. I don't think I'm going to have more than like 12 boxes, so I'm going to make it there, and I'll add that format, my borders all around. There we go, and there's my data table. Okay, I noticed I kind of missed a spot here, so I'll go there and choose borders. I'll just make sure it's selected. Maybe I need to make this a little larger. Yeah, that's what I need to do. Okay. I also want to make sure that these things are centered here. So I'm going to go to my horizontal alignment. I'm going to center it. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to bold the title. Okay. And I think I've highlighted the whole box. That's what it is. Okay. Good. And so this looks like a pretty good, yeah, I can actually take this out. I think, no. Actually, let me unmerge, and let me make this merge a little bit less. I only wanted the length of my table, and now I'll merge it again. Okay, and so, you see, I'm not perfect at this, but I can kind of know how I can go in and get these things done. Okay, so the date that I'm doing my experiment on, I'm going to make up a date. I'll call it 1/4/2021. Here we are. Okay. And I'm going to actually format the whole table so all my data goes centered. Actually, I have to enter first so that the next data will always be in the center. Okay. I'm going to again center justify it. Good. Okay. I'm not sure the data is going to change. The date, I'm going to do this whole experiment on the first try. So I'll show you how you can copy the date to all the columns. You don't really need to. Date once is fine. Now, you're going to actually do this experiment, but I'm going to make up data just to show you how this would work. Now, my mixing tool just combined, if you remember from reading the Scientific American article, if you mix it to just combined, you're going to expect that those pancakes will be the fluffiest because the more you mix pancakes, the more the gluten protein, when it reacts with a liquid like water and egg, will have a chance to combine and stick to other like gluten protein molecules. The less you mix it, the less likely they are to stick because you're not mixing them around as much and they don't have a chance to grab the other gluten molecules that are floating around in the mixture. Okay, so I'm going to make up some data. I'm going to do it down here because I don't really want to be with my date there, just my choice. And I'm going to say that the first one was 3. And the next one was 4. And the next one's 7. The next one's 8. We go 6, 4, 5. And so these are, I'll call these the number of pancakes. You can make another column for that if I want to. That's up to you. You can do that if you want. The number of pancakes, but these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I want to let people know what that is, I can edit this. How does mixing affect the fluff of pancakes? And I can put in parentheses something like all measurements in millimeters. This way there's not a question as to what that number is, okay? I'm going to make my mix to smooth numbers. I'm going to make these a little less just because I think they're going to be a little bit less. Okay, 7. Let's do 7, 2, 1, 3. Okay, and my mix until smooth plus 5 minutes. That's really, really mixed. So I imagine that this group is going to make pancakes that will be even less fluffy. Again, this is not real data. I'm simply making this data up. You're going to actually do this experiment, but I think you want your data table to look something like this. Okay, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. You can certainly do it differently, but I think that this is a good choice. Now, what you're going to want to have here, okay, is your average. You have to have an average for each group. So actually, let's move this down one. And the way you can do that is if you hit Control X, that will first have to enter it. So when I go back to that, if I hit Control X, you see that little button there? It means it's kind of been cut. And I can Control V that right there. That's how you can move things around. I'm going to call this one total. Okay, so because I'm going to total my columns. Okay, 3, 4, 7, and I can actually have the table do this. And I'm not really that adept at this, but you can actually add. Let me try to highlight it and see if I can do this. Actually, let's go to data. And yeah, there are ways you can get this to actually do the math for you. I'll have to make another video of that. I'm not that good at that at this point. I used to be good at it. I kind of forgot how to make a spreadsheet, add up the columns for you. That would be really great. Another day, maybe I'll do that. But for now, I'm just going to add them manually. So 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 8 is 22, 20 plus 6 is 28. All right, 4 is 32, and 5 is 37. Okay, so you have 37 is your total. I'm going going to write that here. Okay. And so what's the average? The average is the total divided by how many you had. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pancakes total. Okay. So with 7 pancakes total, I'm going to, I could do this manually. All right. I know it's, roughly 35. It's 35 point something, right? Let me just get my calculator to do it a little quicker. Okay. And it's 37 divided by 7 equals 5 point. We don't have to go crazy and put that whole number there because we certainly don't have instruments that measure those tiny tenths, and certainly not hundredths or thousandths of a place. So let's just do it to tenths. That's a good place to round it to. So because 5.28, the 8 is higher than 5, we'll call this 5.3. All right, so 5.3 is my average height. And we know that it's in millimeters because all measurements are in millimeters. Now I'm going to total up the second column. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 7 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 2 is 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So this time I have 27 is my total height in all of my pancakes, divided by 7, because again I cooked 7 pancakes, and I have an average now of 3.85, so we'll round that to 3.9 millimeters. And the last column, okay, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 7 is 22, plus 9 is 31, okay? And I'm going to get 31 divided by 7, 4.42, so we'll call that 4.4. So actually a little taller than this one, but that's okay. If that's the way your data comes out, that's the way your data comes out. So now I don't need to graph, and now I'm done with my data table. I know I did the experiment on 1-4. I noticed these are my different pancake heights for the 7 pancakes in each group. If you had 10 pancakes, like I suggested in the explanation of the experiment, certainly you would have a few more pieces of data. Here's the total height of all the pancake groups. And then if I divide the total height by the number of pancakes I have, that gives me an average. So 37 divided by 7 is 5.3. 27 divided by 7 is 3.9. And 31 divided by 7 is 4.4. Again, all of these measurements are in millimeters. Here's my total. Here's my average. Certainly, you could have set this up differently, but this would be a perfectly acceptable table for you to insert into your Word document. So now let's go to the graph, okay? You only really need to graph the heights of the pancakes, the average height for each group. It's not going to really be helpful to give me every individualized point. The average takes out any kind of indiscrepancies you may have had, any kind of variables, because that's what an average is. It works towards the middle of all of those values. So an average is always a good thing to plot. So I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to insert a chart. It takes a second usually to populate. And there's my chart. And the first thing that came up was the bar graph, which is exactly what I'm going to want here. So we need to add some things. So I want to add column chart's a good one. Stacking, we don't want to stack them. We do want to add some titles and things like that in here. Let's try customize, chart and axis titles. So here's my chart title. We'll call this the average height. Or, we'll call it height. You can call it fluffiness, height of pancakes. Right? And you see it already appeared on my chart. So that looks pretty good. And let's see here. Horizontal axis title. I definitely need a horizontal axis title. And that's the x-axis, right? That's horizontal. And we'll call this the different pancake groups. And there they are. And we certainly need a vertical title. And the vertical title will be the height of pancakes in millimeters. I could spell out millimeters, but don't need to. Now, the one thing I'm not really sure what the blue, the red, and the yellow are, so let's see if we can add that. Let's see what it says here. Nope, don't want to do any of that yet. I want to see if I can go to my legend and see if I can actually add some stuff to that. Huh. All right. Huh. All right. Well, you can play around with it. I'm making this video, and I don't want to spend too much time. Let's try one more thing. And we'll try to edit the chart this way, see if we can do that, if that works. There is a way to add some stuff here. Names to it, I just don't know how to do it right now. Anyway, you can always just talk about it in your analysis that the blue group is, the just mixed to lumpy. The red group is the just mixed until smooth. And then the yellow group's the just mixed or mixed until smooth plus 5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever you choose. You can just discuss that in the analysis, but it has to be listed somewhere. We have to be able to know the difference between these groups. If you figure out how to put the different names on there, good for you. And you can show me how to do it, right? We can learn from each other. Anyhow, so here are your, we now have your graph. We now have your graph and your table. I'm just going to take this graph and move it off of my table so I can see it a little more clearly. Okay, I'll leave it right underneath. Okay. And so I'm just going to open a Word document here because I just want to show you again how to insert this because a lot of students have a hard time with this. Okay. So here's my document. It's untitled. All right. I'm just going to make my results section. Okay. I'm going to insert and the table is actually, I think it's just easier to cut and paste that. And take a look at that real quick. Okay. So there is a way to insert this too, but if I remember correctly, this is pretty easy to do. Okay, highlight it. I can right click that. I can copy it and I can go to my untitled document and I can paste it, Control V, and my table should go right in there. Let me take a second. I'm not seeing it, so let me try again. Let's try this, Control C, copy. Go to my results, Control V. There we go. Okay. It was just taking a while. a little lag on my computer. I have a lot of tabs open, so. And there's my table. Okay, it was actually just taking time. That was exactly the way I told you. Copy it and paste it in there. Okay, you want to skip a space or so. Okay, put your cursor, get it all set up. And now for the chart, you definitely want to go through here and go to Insert Chart. And it's going to be from Sheets because that's what you worked in. Okay, and then here's my graph, right, from this Untitled sheet. I select it. I highlight it. I don't need it linked. I don't need the data there, so I'm going to unlink that, and I import it. Okay, and so now you have your data table and your graph, your results section, and then below that you would have your analysis of results. You would talk about the important things that happen and why. If this was the case, I would certainly be mentioning that my last group, which was my mixed till smooth plus 5 minutes, was mixed more or had a higher average height than the mixed until smooth group. That would be significant. I would mention that. That's the way it happened. And in my head, I already know what I'm going to talk about in terms of, it should be lower because the gluten should have mixed together more. I would have expected it, my hypothesis to be lower, but things don't always come out the way you expect them to, right? I would also mention which color group is which because it does not appear in my legend, right? So if I'm not able to figure out how to write the names of the groups here, I definitely need to discuss them in the analysis. Very, very, very important. Okay. If I had any special kind of data that was really out of whack here, for instance, in this last group, why did I get one pancake that was 9 millimeters high when all the other ones were fairly low? I might talk about that. Okay. So those are the kinds of things you mentioned in the analysis. Remember, do not give any opinion. Just state the facts. Draw people's attention to the important things. Okay, so that's how you make a data table and a graph for your Pancake lab. Certainly, it's not the only way to do things, just a way to do it. And I hope that was helpful.